Billionaire shouted at the waitress. She said one sentence. Everyone froze. Ethel Guards sat tucked away in the heart of Manhattan, like an ancient temple built for the powerful. The arched ceiling soared above crystal chandeliers, swaying gently with the whisper of the air conditioning. Warm golden light streamed through glass leaves, scattering sunlight-like specks across the patterned tile floor. A grand piano rested in the corner, jazz floating softly from the fingers of a silver-haired pianist who smiled gently but never looked up. No one spoke loudly. The clink of a spoon against a glass sounded like fragile crystal breaking. Conversations were carried by raised eyebrows and half smiles. At the very center of the room, where the light pooled brightest, sat a long table draped in white linen, and one man, as if the entire restaurant orbited around him, Corwin Maddox. The man who could send tremors through the financial world with a single line. The one who'd silenced 3 generations of shareholders with a single look. And tonight, he was about to sign a deal that would shake Wall Street to its core. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit, a carefully knotted gray silk tie. On his left wrist, a vintage watch. On his right pinky, a heavy gold ring, more like a seal of power than jewelry. At the table with him were lawyers, CEOs, investors, each one holding their breath as he raised his guest chest. And when he spoke, the table fell into reverent silence like a cathedral. No one dared interrupt him until something shattered. Not a plate, not words, but the sound of an antique crystal wine glass slipping off a tray, a sharp slicing crack through the air. It all happened in a second, but in that second time slowed. One movement, one mistake, and fate split down the middle. Kate, the young waitress, with her hair neatly tied back, wearing a white shirt and black apron, didn't see Leo, the new server, panicking as he came from the opposite direction. He was flustered, his tray full of cocktails, trying to dodge a busboy, and bumped into Kate. Just slightly, but enough. Her tray tilted, and that's when it began. A glass of red wine, a 1982 Chateau Margaux, worth nearly $6,000, rolled across the tray, like it was deciding whether to fall or not. One circle, then it tipped. Wine flew. It didn't hit the floor, it splashed directly onto Corwin Maddox's sleeve. White fabric, red wine, absorbent material, the stain spread like blood on snow. The soft drip of wine onto the carpet was louder than thunder. The jazz stopped, the pianist froze, guests held their breath. Someone let out a soft gasp, then silence. No one moved. Corwin didn't speak at first. He just stared at the red stain as if watching a living wound spread across his own body. The air turned lead-heavy. Every eye locked onto the center table, the very table where New York's biggest deals had once been written on cocktail napkins and where now silence became a weapon. Kate stood frozen. She knew what had just happened. Leo backed away, pale, whispering something like, "I'm sorry," but no one heard. Then Corwin looked up, slow, precise, sharp as a blade, his eyes cold gray and hollow, like a motionless steel locked onto Kate's. "Are you stupid?" His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was soft, but razor sharp. It cut through her like a scalpel. No shouting, but the whole room shuddered. Kate steadied the tray in her hands. She opened her mouth. "Sir, I'm so sorry. My coworker bumped into me and I don't care," Corwin snapped, voice rising sharper now. A slash in the middle of dinner. "I'm in the middle of a meeting worth more than your entire life. And you show up with that cheap clumsiness." Eyes started turning to Kate. Someone gripped their partner's hand tighter. Someone else stared down at their water glass. No one dared step in. Leo, still trembling, stammered, "It was my fault, sir. Get out of my sight." Corwin barked, still never taking his eyes off Kate. Leo vanished like smoke. And Kate. She didn't run. She didn't bow her head. She just stood there. Corwin's stare was crushing, as if he could destroy the world just to reclaim the perfection she had broken. "Do you know who I am?" His voice stretched. Not a question. A slap made of words. And then Kate blinked just once. Then she looked him straight in the eye, no flinch, no fear, and said, "You don't remember me at all." "Do you, Corwin?" A beat of silence. The entire restaurant went still. No spoons, no heartbeats. Just 2 people face to face, one who had everything, one who once had nothing. And suddenly that reversed. The room went silent. Kate stood frozen where the wine had spilled tray, still in her hands as if it were a fragile shield. Time stretched. The sound of the wine seemed to echo in midair. The golden chandelier light dimmed into something murky, its crystal glow casting a heavy, suffocating stillness. Corwin Maddox stood tall, commanding power with nothing but a glance. That cold smile crept onto his lips, but it wasn't a smile. It was a cut, the gleam of a brutal kind of justice. He breathed in slowly. The fabric of his shirt made a faint squish whine seep into skin. "Do you even know who I am?" He didn't need to raise his voice. The words came down like a silent hammer. Kate trembled. Her fingers tightened around the tray. She could feel the entire room lean in toward Corwin, their gazes converging on her. The only thing in the room not made of money or power, just a girl, cursed. She wasn't trembling out of fear, but because she understood exactly how much damage he could do, a man who could destroy lives with a 3-page report. The golden table in front of him gleamed like a symbol of control, and she just a crossed-out line. "Sir," she said softly, "I'm sorry." "No," Corwin cut her off. His voice was glacial. "Do you think an apology erases incompetence, carelessness? I staked my entire career on this dinner. And you," he arched an eyebrow, the smile like a scar, "you left me with nothing." The music returned, pounding frantic, like the heartbeat in a horror movie. He stepped closer to the table, his eyes sharp as lasers. Kate backed up, unsteady, but still held the tray. Not a single glass fell. Leo watched from across the room, pale and shaken. A bead of sweat slid down Kate's temple. The clink of a spoon on glass echoed every small sound, now a threat. Corwin carved each word out of the air. "You think you're just a grain of sand, invisible, insignificant until you stain my sleeve, until the mess you created becomes visible to the world. Do you even understand what I had to do? To keep something this pure?" She said nothing, eyes still on the stained fabric. That sleeve now looked like a map of mistakes. Corwin laughed, not with joy, not with pain, but with the hollow cruelty of someone who forgot how to be human. What are you in this world?" He pulled his gaze from the stain and pierced her with it. "Just a cleaner, a background prop, a bad idea left behind." The smirk curled. His stare razor sharp. People inched away just enough not to be caught in the blast. Kate felt her knees weaken. She stepped back, but still held the tray. No one came to help. No one dared. Silence blanketed the restaurant. Time thickened. Corwin looked around the room as if searching for something to stuff into the void clawing at him. Then he tilted his head toward Kate. "The stage, it shows who really matters. And you, young lady," he shrugged, "you don't." Kate blinked back tears, none fell. She turned, walked slowly, didn't drop the tray, didn't lose her form. Leo followed like a ghost, pale, ashamed. Corwin turned back to the table, pulled out his chair, and sat. His breath was heavy, cold. Billy, the investor next to him, nudged his assistant's arm, took a sip of water, trying to steady his nerves. And Kate, now invisible, but the entire room watched her leave. Each step a reckoning, a sentence passed. She stopped, not at the door, but far enough to no longer face Corwin. She untied her apron, didn't say a word. That one action, quiet, bitter, and final, struck harder than any accusation. And in that moment, Corwin realized she wasn't just a waitress. She was the waitress, and yet he didn't know why. She laid the apron carefully on the wooden wall near the kitchen, walked out. The door clicked softly behind her. The sound rippled through the room like a bell, signaling an ending. A silent 5-note chord screaming. Normal's over. A chill settled over everything. The pianist, halfway through a note, stared ahead wide-eyed. Corwin sat there, and the table, beneath the pale gold light, surrounded by paperwork deals and the shattered remains of crystal. He wasn't angry anymore. He felt powerless, because the waitress was no longer beneath him. She'd struck his only weakness, and he didn't even understand how. The silence was brutal. Corwin sat alone in his penthouse, drenched in cold light. Outside the windows, the glow of New York shimmered distant, dazzling, indifferent. He opened his laptop. The screen flared to life against the sea of darkness. His fingers trembled not from fear, but from something within he didn't yet understand. Name Catherine Ann Riley. Date of birth, October 12, 1999. Occupation waitress at Ethel Guards. Resigned last night. Mother Eleanor Monroe, deceased due to illness. His vision blurred. Eleanor, the woman who once loved him with her whole heart. The woman he once promised he'd return to. And in that instant, his chest clenched, like the wine stain still burned into his sleeve, not just guilt, but the kind of consequence he'd never learned to face. He opened the next file, an attachment: Catherine Ann Riley's birth certificate, Mother Eleanor Monroe, father not listed. He drew in a long breath. The emptiness became sharper. Not listed, he thought. But then the dates he left Yale: in January 1999, Catherine was born that October. 9 months, the math hit like a knife. His heart pounded. A chill swept across the room. No more power, just a man shattered by his own reflection. He pulled up Eleanor's photo from the scanned file. She looked younger, brighter, gentle eyes. A soft smile like that fine wine once spilled. A video surfaced. A memory, he and Eleanor on a stone bench at Yale, laughing over starlit poetry. For Artie, my brightest star, the line she once wrote in her journal. He was Artie before he became Corwin. Each frame, each tear, not just memory, now they were proof. Catherine was the child Eleanor had kept hidden to protect him. And now he had broken that child with words, with damage no apology could ever fix. Corwin collapsed into his seat. Cold blood surged through his veins, numbing every thought. He called Peterson the fixer, the man who always cleaned up the mess. Markham, I need the truth. Yes, sir. The girl, the file, everything. Clarify it. I already sent it, sir. Just 2 copies. One yesterday. I see, Mark. Does she know I'm her father? No, sir, she doesn't. The emotions came in waves, but one rose above them all, guilt. He replayed the audio from the post-dinner surveillance. The waitress's voice echoed, "You don't remember me at all, do you, Corwin?" And now he heard something else in it. Not just defiance, but a warning. He lowered his head. The desk light was harsh. The screen still showed her file, Eleanor's file, Catherine's file. Corwin exhaled. The pain didn't come from betrayal, it came from self-deception, 26 years of it. He looked at the photo of Eleanor still framed by a glass, and he thought, for the first time in my life, I need to value something else. A knock. Knock. Peterson again, more documents in hand. A letter from Eleanor sent from London, long, slow. Artie, I believe you'll return, but the illness is getting worse. Our child will understand, if she can. Please come back, I'll wait. What about Kate? A mother regrets nothing as long as her child is safe. In that moment, Corwin realized he hadn't just abandoned Eleanor. He had fathered a daughter and lost her without ever knowing. Night flooded the penthouse. The darkness was unbearable. All the financial records, contracts, and deals meaningless now. A harrowing silence filled the space. Corwin Maddox, once master of the financial universe, was now just Artie, a man too late in realizing that the daughter he never knew was the only piece of his soul that had ever truly mattered. The night outside had fallen silent, like a sentence passed. Corwin sat behind the wheel of his Rolls-Royce Phantom, watching the streetlights slide across the ceiling like memories flashing through his mind. He wore a simple cashmere sweater, no tie, no longer a symbol of power. Tonight, he was just a father, a man realizing for the first time that he had abandoned his daughter. "You sure you want to do this?" Paul, his driver, asked softly. His voice was calm but heavy. Corwin opened the door. A rush of cold air swept in, as if pulling down every curtain of pretense he'd ever hidden behind. "Yes," he breathed. One word. Years collapsed into that single breath. His hands shook. He stepped onto the sidewalk with the weight of a different man. The building was old, brick-chipped. The sound of a TV upstairs drifted down like a sigh. He knocked on the door for B. For a moment, his hands felt utterly empty. He heard the latch click. The door opened. The apartment was quiet. Kate stood there, worn Yale sweatshirt, faded leggings, hair tied back in a messy ponytail. Exactly how she had looked that night, the night everything changed. Her eyes were wide, holding storms of anger, pain, exhaustion. No hatred, no vengeance, just the look of someone who'd long hoped for this moment and feared it would never come. "Kate," he said, voice barely audible. She didn't speak, just stepped aside. "Do you want me to come in?" Her nod was slow, uncertain. Was it permission or just a tired surrender? He stepped in. The space was small, bookshelves overflowing with notebooks, novels, economics, texts. The air smelled of fresh tea and old paper. A world that was everything his penthouse was not. He saw a framed photo, a young Kate wrapped in Eleanor's arms. The image stabbed, a portrait of everything he'd once left behind. "I'm sorry," he said. Voice cracked. Nothing more, the words themselves drained him. Kate turned away. She poured tea slowly. Years ago, he used to pour for Eleanor. Now his daughter did it with the same hands. "I came to apologize and to understand why you didn't respond when I called." She set the cup down. The first sounds broke the silence. "My mother never talked about you, not once." She pressed her lips together. "I never used your name, never heard it. She didn't want her child swallowed whole." His tears didn't fall, but his heart split open. "If I had known," he whispered, "I would have never left you or her." "Left," she shook her head, disbelief, not accusation. "I lived 26 years without a single dad. Only mom and debt and strangers saying I'm sorry like it meant anything." He tried to speak to offer something back. "If I'd known, I swear," but the words never made it out. Silence fell again, the tick of a clock. The room tilted with the weight of truth. I tore up the check you sent, Kate said quietly. The words shook the room. You thought money fixed it, but I can't buy back time, and Mom wouldn't have wanted that either. The cold stabbed deeper. He looked down at his hands, once powerful, now trembling. She kept a book of poems in the closet. Never wrote you a goodbye letter. Just a line I read aloud sometimes. For Artie, my brightest star. A melody stirred between them. Artie was you, she said softly. His breath caught. That's what she called me when we were young. No, that's what you called me in every poem Mom wrote to the man she never stopped waiting for. A tear fell down her cheek. She didn't wipe it. It was the most painful kind of truth. He stepped closer, didn't touch, didn't intrude. Just stood there, a man made of regret. You can hate me, he whispered. You shouldn't have to live with the pain of a father who never showed up. A moment of stillness. Then Kate turned, tears in her eyes, but voice steady. I don't need you to make it up to me. I just need you to stay, to be here, to stop leaving time behind. He lowered his head. A look passed between them, not of pride, not of status, but of something fragile, a man and the child he once abandoned, finally seen. He opened his mouth. Let me keep talking, not with money, with me. Kate looked at him, and in that moment, the most important moment of his life, his daughter believed in him. Just enough. The city was cloaked in the last faint hues of gold before dawn. Corwin stepped into the boardroom, no longer cloaked in the aura he once wore like armor. Something deep within him had changed. A silent unraveling of the faith he had built his empire on, now reduced to ashes. His associates were seated, sharp suits, polished shoes, staring at dark profit charts like modern-day generals over battlefield maps. Laid across the table, a billion-dollar merger agreement, months of ruthless strategy distilled into marked pages. Richard Holey looked up. Corwin, everything's in place. Just your approval, and I'll take it from here. Bernard Shaw, calm as ever, like an old violinist tuned to corporate tempo, only tilted his head at Corwin's barely audible sigh. You're saying we don't go through with the takeover. Silence. Corwin placed his hand on the extravagant golden pen, but this time it felt like reaching into a bottomless void. He thought of Kate, her walking away from that restaurant, not looking back, not needing to. He thought of Eleanor and the promise never kept. He thought of a birth certificate without a father's name, and the pain two innocent people had carried because of him. He drew a breath full of life, not power. Richard, he said softly, eerily calm. Cancel. One word. Like a verdict. Holey blinked. Come again? I'm canceling the deal. Redraft it. No takeover, just an equal merger. And one condition, no layoffs for 3 years. Full pension protection. The room tightened. Richard shot to his feet, red-faced. Are you out of your mind? This will kill the margins, send shareholders into chaos. Corwin said nothing. He just looked out the window, where the first pale strands of sunrise were unfurling, like a door finally opening somewhere in his soul. Bernard exhaled, not in protest, not in support, just quietly. I'll redraw the proposal, he said. No layoffs, pension stays. And for the first time in Maddox Capital's history, the eyes in the room shifted, not in fear, but disbelief. Corwin walked out, not with his usual commanding stride, but slowly, heavier, like a man finally removing the armor of power. He began to act using the one thing he understood best, money, but now it came with meaning. First, he contacted a law firm to pay off all of Eleanor Monroe's remaining medical debts. Only Mark Peterson, his loyal fixer, knew, and that's how he wanted it. Next, he established the Eleanor Monroe Memorial Fund, a scholarship for gifted economics students from underprivileged backgrounds. He wanted to ensure that potential would never again be buried by poverty. And then he quietly contacted Yale, no favoritism, just to request review Catherine's application in light of her extraordinary circumstances. He knew she didn't need money to succeed. She needed the chance to be seen for her worth, not her wounds. Every action he took was silent. No press releases, no applause. But they hit like tectonic shifts weighted with atonement. Then came a quiet Friday. He called Kate. His hand trembled slightly. Dialing her number was like pressing on a bruise that never healed. Hi, Catherine. It's Corwin. Silence. Then her voice rough around the edges. I got your package. His chest tightened. There's no donation, just a note. Yale's reviewing your file. You owe nothing, not tuition, not pity. I just opened the door. You prove yourself the way you always have. She cut in. Her voice cracked. All my life I've felt like a clerical error. I didn't study for money. I studied for my grandmother, my mom. I know. His voice dropped like unlocking a vault of guilt. And you're not a mistake anymore. You're the future. She exhaled, a long, weary breath as if a storm had just passed through her lungs. Do you really think that's possible? A simple question carried by hope. 2 weeks later, the news came Yale had reopened her file. The true triumph wasn't admission, it was this. She was being seen fairly, not because her father was a billionaire, but because she deserved it. That evening, Corwin sat in his penthouse, looking out over the city. Hope spread across his soul like the first light of morning, soft but real. Final scene, Corwin stands quietly in the Yale courtyard, not as a tycoon, not as a man of influence, but simply as a father, waiting outside the library among the trees and grass, waiting for the daughter he left behind 26 years ago to walk out and smile. Final words fade in. Redemption is not found in power, but in the courage to admit when we were wrong. An early morning in late autumn, the air was crisp as if it had rinsed the ashes of the past clean. A thin veil of mist hovered over the small road that led to the countryside cemetery. Red maple leaves scattered along the path, each one fallen like a whisper from the past. Corwin and Kate stood beside a polished marble headstone, Eleanor Monroe. The words, "Beloved Mother," carved delicately into the stone, the morning light making the inscription shimmer like it was breathing. A stray paper drifted on the wind. Their arms didn't touch, but their eyes were fixed on the same place, the grave of the woman who had taught them both how to believe in love. Kate's voice broke the silence, soft as the mist. She wanted you to come. Corwin leaned in and placed a single white flower at the base, the kind he used to buy Eleanor from the vendor outside Sterling Library. He said nothing. Kate placed a hand gently on his shoulder. No words, no questions. Just a gesture peeling away the final layer of cold he'd carried for decades. "I never forgot her," he whispered, and for the first time he said it aloud, and Eleanor Elizabeth could finally hear it. Leaves crunched softly beneath their shoes. Time stilled. All that remained was love that lived beyond death. Kate began to cry silently, tears swallowed, not sobbed. Corwin bent and brushed her hair back, his hand trembling as it wiped one cheek, wrinkled fingers like scars carved from long-buried trust. "I didn't make it in time," she choked out, "but you being here now means everything to her, to me." He gripped the edge of his coat, regret flooding in like rain pressed against a door half open. "I deserve to be hated," he said quietly, "but I want to learn how to be trusted." She looked at him hesitant, but then a soft smile broke through. "I'm not ready to forgive, but I can learn to move forward with you, one step." He nodded, no words, but for the first time his breath felt real, no longer hollow. The morning brightened, the mist lifted, and the light of day stretched across the graveyard, like a promise that hope wasn't just a dream, but something that could begin here. Final scene, Corwin and Kate walked slowly side by side down the stone path, no words, but their hands brushed just slightly. Not rushed, not dramatic, just the quiet strength of a connection being rebuilt without needing to speak. Final text fades in. Redemption is not a single act, it's a journey, and that journey is the one most worth living. Do you hear it? The sound of that wine glass shattering. It's no longer just the sound of an accident. It's the beginning of a reckoning that should have happened 26 years ago. Have you ever asked yourself if one sentence could change everything? What would you say, and to whom? This story isn't just about a billionaire and a girl carrying the weight of the past. It's a reminder of the things we choose to forget and the people who quietly kept their promises for us. Sometimes what we need isn't another win, but the courage to say I'm sorry, and the humility to walk back through a door we once walked out of. If you've come with us this far, take a moment. Look inward. Who have you hurt even unintentionally who deserves an apology or a long overdue hug? Have you ever sinned like Kate, swallowing your youth in silence, standing strong alone? Or like Corwin, so consumed by success that you forgot what really mattered? Leave a comment below. It doesn't have to be long. A name, a sentence, or just a heart emoji. We read every word, and maybe they are reading too. Maybe they've been waiting. And if you believe this story is one that should be heard, tap like yeah and share it with someone you care about, and subscribe so we can keep telling stories that help us feel, reflect, and see life just a little more clearly. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next story, where a single glance, a single sentence, or a single choice just might change everything.